Alert, alert, Daikaiser has been revealed. In today's video, you get to see my first reaction of the actual effects being shown, and then a little bit more down-to-earth discussion of what the cards actually look like and how they should be performing in standard after I've had a little bit of time to sleep on it. Enjoy the reaction. First card is... Whoa! Core Kaiser, it's a new guy! Dimensional Robo Core Kaiser. There was a dude inside? He's an actual brand new guy. Alright, so they said if you're using Daikaiser, you should use Core Kaiser as your starter. Is it gonna be Flamgram? He's a core. It's like when you build a real grade. And the grade 1. Yeah, there we go! Kaiser Grader! When placed on Vanguard Circle, search your deck for a base card. Reveal it, add it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. When this card is placed from soul to rearguard circle by your card's ability, if your Vanguard is Daikaiser grade 3 or greater, for that turn your Vanguard and this unit get plus 5k. Okay, it's literally Daikaiser's version of Dailander. So no ride jump from him. He's usually the one that's ride jumping. And it does have Dimensional Beast Clan. They do indeed. I like this like OG color style. It's very nice. Ooh! Diebase will be reprinted as a common. Alright, so here's a reminder. This is what Diebase is, what the base looks like. Ooh, so is it gonna be just no new base then? Maybe no new base. It'd be nice if it was a new art with Kaiser Core instead of Goisha. Dude, Kaiser Core is so cool. We actually got a new guy. Next one. Oh, Kaiser! He looks so cool. Oh my god. So it's the same artist for the entire ride line. Oh, he's like teleporting. Wait, but this fits the border so well because it looks like he's like teleporting from from outside. He's like busting through a gate. That's so cool. All right. Ooh. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 2 or greater, choose a card from hand and discard it. From your ride deck, choose Daikaiser, ride it as stand, and if you did, for this fight, you cannot ride anything but Dimensional Robos. When this is ridden over by Daikaiser, he calls himself to rearguard circle, and if your Vanguard is Daikaiser grade 3 or greater, he gets boost. He's a double rare ride line. It's been a while since we've had one. It's been a while since we've had a double rare in the ride line, right? Oh, that's dope. Okay, we have ride skip. Why does it lock ride? Yeah, it doesn't put the soul. So I guess this works well with Mariner. Dude, he looks so cool. The art style is so dope. It's the same artist for the entire ride line so far, except for Daikaiser himself. Well, before Daikaiser, we have one other card. First, they're gonna show the card with that new gimmick, which is... D Legion. Oh my god, who said Legion? Who said Legion? Who said Legion? D Legion is a rule changed Legion for standard. Okay, so if your opponent is grade 3 or greater, you can choose up to 2 triggers that are not heal or over trigger, and then 2 more cards that are not triggers for a total of 4 to return them to your deck. And then the original Vanguard becomes the Legion leader, and the Vanguard that you call out becomes the Legion mate, and you get 2 cards that literally just Legion. Legion leaders and Legion mates power are combined, and you can use both of their abilities. It's just Legion. And of course the power goes back to the base power of the Legion leader during your opponent's turn. Ooh, does not have the Persona Ride icon. Whoa. No Persona Ride. No Persona Ride icon. And the critical and power, the critical and drive will be that of the Legion leaders, of course. So it's the same. So you can't Persona Ride. Oh my god. It's straight up just Legion. So it's gonna be 26k power. I did not expect this. I didn't think they'd be bringing back Legion with Daikaiser. What the hell? This is... I did not expect this. I thought it'd be break right at most. Oh my god. So they're saying like stride decks can stride but can't Persona Ride. So it's the same as that. If you use the D Legion gimmick, you won't be able to Persona Ride because the grade 3 doesn't have Persona Ride. Wow. That's kind of cool though. Hold up. Oh, the encounter background actually looks pretty good on Daikaiser. Oh, it's a big text box. Oh my god. Okay. D Legion act with Super Dimensional Robo Dayusha. Let's go, hashtags the bits. Daikaiser! What? There's so much to hold up. Alright. If your opponent is grade 3 or greater, so this unit can only once choose 2 triggers that are not heals or overs from your drop, and 2 non-triggers for a total of 4 cards. Return them to the deck, search your deck for the specified card, and perform a D Legion. And as long as you are in D Legion, the units in D Legion lose their Persona Ride icon. Alright, and then once per turn, when this unit attacks, if this unit was not boosted in this battle, Energy Blast 3. For that battle, this gains the effect. At the start of your drive step, you can choose one of your opponent's non-over-trigger guardians and retire it. Huh? Huh? Just a once per turn. Eh? And if you have Core Kaiser in your bind zone, you can also... Oh, sorry, if you don't have Core Kaiser in your bind zone, you can soul blast, you can bind the Core Kaiser from your soul to gain the ability that says, wah, 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 wah. So if you bind the Core Kaiser, when your opponent's guardian unit would be retired, you can nullify its cannot be hit ability. It nullifies PGs. We still got guard break. It doesn't rely on grade 3s, which I guess is good, but also is a good thing, but it slightly loses its flavor a little bit, but we still got guard break. Okay, we good. It's a divine skill guard break. Wow, but this means like brawlers can come back. This means brawlers can come back. This means Thingsaber can come back. We can actually they can start doing Legion encounters. Oh my god. Oh my god, the cross can come back. Oh my god. When they revealed the grade 1 and it said all of your Vanguard, somebody said Legion. And I was like, every time it says that. There's no way. Oh my god. Okay, so you're saying can't use Gratias Gradale in this deck because he doesn't have Persona Ride icon? Oh my god, yeah, front triggers. If you check a front trigger while in Legion, both Vanguards will get plus 10k. Wow, this adds a whole layer. Do you even need to run more than the Daikaiser in your ride line? But I guess if you re-ride this, you can Legion again, right? You can just Legion again if you re-ride. So I think you probably still do, no? Are they not gonna show a ruling slide? Next, just like answering questions. If you use ladder, it says all of your Vanguards get plus 5k, so both Vanguards will get plus 5k. Alright. Okay, so... oh my god, they're gonna reprint Dusha in this set. They're reprinting regular Dusha in this set as a RE in this set. Okay. So there's gonna be an errata. They're gonna reprint Dusha with an errata. The original said, you stand this unit and for this turn drive -2. But now it's gonna say, you stand this unit for that turn, your Vanguards all lose drive -2. So both Dusha's and Daikaiser's effects will work on the Vanguard circle. So you technically have 3 abilities on the Vanguard circle. So you can attack with Daikaiser when Legioned, and he will CB1 to draw 1, buff all your D-Robos. So that includes both Vanguards. And then end of battle, you can put a Cardfight to Soul to stand both of them together. And then still Soul, like, bind the Dusha from Soul to regain the drive if you Persona Ride. No, but you can't Persona Ride, so I guess it doesn't matter. You can't Persona Ride in this deck, so it doesn't matter actually. New Girl, Dimensional Robo Operator, Sayaka. Damn, okay. When placed on Guardian Circle, if you as a Dimensional Robo, you can choose a different named Dimensional Robo unit from your soul from her and call it to Guardian Circle. Ooh, this is good in premium. Oh, you're so right, it is. It's Dieliner support. Damn! Kaiser Deluxe art, I knew it. Damn, this looks sick! Dimensional Robo Die Spray. Damn, Die Spray. This goes hard! What is this? When this unit is placed from your soul to rearguard circle by an effect, if your Vanguard's Dimensional Robo, energy charge 1. Me when I see Daikaiser, 100%. Oh, another Dimensional Robo Operator, Nonoka. There's actually a lot of new units. Bro, I'm die spraying right now. Act once per turn. If your Vanguard is a Dimensional Robo grade 3 or greater, Soul Boss 1, rest this unit. Oh, it's perfect to put behind Vanguard. Choose from your drop a different named Dimensional Robo from this unit. There's a normal unit. Send it to bot deck. If you did, choose Dimensional Robo unit for that turn, it gets plus 5k for the turn. Okay, so he's saying this is good for both like Daisha and Daikaiser, regardless of which one you want to build. So if you build this around Daisha, it's for returning Persona. If you build it around Daikaiser, you can return your Legion copy. Yeah, you can't boost Daikaiser, so you can just rest this. Is he winning? We're winning so hard. They brought back Legion. They brought back Legion. They just straight up brought back Legion. Will you buy Daisha's Secret now that you have to play both? Oh my god. Oh, there's so many new D-Robos. King. He's double rare. When placed on Vanguard Circle, if your Vanguard's Dimensional Robo, look at top 5 of your deck, find a grade 3 or graded Dimensional Robo from among them, or a set order. Choose one, reveal it, add it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. If you did add, choose a card from hand and either put it to soul or discard it. And then, if your Vanguard's Dimensional Robo, Vanguard and Guardian Circle, if you have a base in your order zone, get plus 5k power, plus 5k shield on both players' turns. Oh my god. There's so much. So it feels like Die Lady will still be very important in this deck. This being a top 5 searcher, although it's only for grade 3 or greater, is still good. You can find Die Bird. What was his name again? It's Die Bird, right? The double rare. And oh, Shadow Kaiser! Oh my god. We got him. I had a feeling. I had a feeling we would get Shadow Kaiser, and he's got so much text. Oh my god. In drop, if your Vanguard is Daikaiser grade 3, and this turn you have not ridden, Soul Blast 1 and bind this unit, search your deck for a Daikaiser grade 3 or greater, ride as stand and shuffle your deck. So he allows you to re-ride and re-legion. Oh. That is also premium. This is a premium card. That's also a premium card. It allows you to like... Oh, it allows you to break ride legion the same turn. Oh my god. Did not ride this turn, yeah. Welcome back, Thingsaver. If your Vanguard is Daikaiser grade 3 or greater, gets plus 5k, this guy. If your order zone has 3 or more bases, gets 10k instead. And then Vanguard Circle in hand, when your Dimensional Robo Vanguard would be attacked at the start of the guard step, you can send this to the drop, choose the attacked unit, and it gets plus 10k for the battle. So this happens, it has a reminder text that says this happens before you call Guardians and before you intercept. So that basically says, the explanation text says, there's a Daikaiser support grade 3, so as long as he's in drop, you can bind him and Soul Blast 1 to re-ride Daikaiser and do D-Legion once again. And if your Vanguard is Daikaiser, he gets plus 5k. If you have 3 more bases, he gets plus 10k to be a 23k on his own. And if you use Daisha's effect, he becomes a 28k base, basically. And he's also a 10k shield. Wow. We also have this. Wow. Of course. The secret rare. It is just like the Dusha one, with just a DP logo. I was slightly hoping for some cool kanji. I was kind of hoping for like the ride chant. Not gonna lie. It's still good. Still good, still gonna buy 4. Does not change what is gonna happen. Not even flavor text. Yeah, like ride chant would have been so cool. But the art is so good, it doesn't matter. Now getting back to things and really talking about the cards individually, now that I've had a little bit of time to sleep on it. I just want to kind of go through things a little bit one more time. So of course, the starter is a cool little touch. It's a cool little aesthetic touch that we haven't seen before, but mostly just talk about the ride line, because the ride line between the Daisha and Goyusha basically do the same thing. They're both just like power up to the Vanguard in itself and also search out your base, which is really cool. Your base is the main form of plussing, especially in a build that will focus on Daisha primarily. The Kaiser art itself is pretty good. It's just the fact that there's like both pluses and minuses to it, where the Daisha ride line required you to get the parts and gattai into the Daisha, whereas Kaiser just rides up for discarding one without needing any parts. That is a good thing, because now you can use the first base of the game that you usually set on turn 1 to search out Die Lady, and then next turn call out that Die Lady immediately to search the next base and just repeat that every single turn. In the Daisha build, you had to use the first base to search out either Die Battles or Die Mariner in order to actually have the, you know, the ride up ready for next turn. So that is one of the really nice things, and the fact that he also comes out of the ride line and also gains boost is very good, because that means that he will be basically a 15k body after Dusha's buff. So that essentially means that if you put him behind Shadow Kaiser, who's 23 or 28 after being buffed by Dusha, he's making a 43k column on his own. There's no Persona Ride in this deck, so that's a really good number. So for that reason alone, I do like the ride line. It's just a shame that this one discards one instead of putting a card from hand to soul. It's sort of not the end of the world, but at the same time, Daikaiser himself does not plus on his turn 3 when your opponent is grade 2. So the thing is that you can only Legion when your opponent's on grade 3. So that means if you do ride up while your opponent's on grade 2, that means you're basically just swinging with this and that's it. It's not necessarily the end of the world, because when he attacks, you get to Energy Blast 3 if he's not boosted, to basically tell your opponent that if they guard with anything that isn't an over trigger, you're going to be able to retire it. So even if you swing with a 13k base without actually calling anything, or if you just call the Kaiser Greater and make this an 18k, then your opponent is no longer really willing to just put down a 15k for 2 to pass, because you're going to shoot it. So then they're forced to put 2 15ks down. And if you call out Kaiser Greater and you make him 18, then that means they would be forced to call like 3 cards just to try to guard this with like this, you know, like Guardian shoot effect. So for that reason, that basically means that the first Daikaiser swing, even without Legion, is most likely going to go through. So that basically means that if you play this deck a bit more aggressively and you get your opponent to 2 or 3 damage on turn 2, then that means that turn 3, you're immediately basically forcing them to take this swing. And obviously not everyone's going to be happy about that. If they're on 3, they're risking, you know, just getting crit or double crit and, you know, just losing on the spot. And then the once per game ability to nullify perfect guards is a pretty cool thing. The only thing that's really important to keep in mind is that you have to do that on attack declaration. You declare the attack, you don't boost, you Energy Blast 3, you get the effect to retire Guardian, and then you also get the effect to nullify a PG, and then your opponent will guard. So your opponent can indeed put down 2 perfect guards and then just basically be safe. So you're likely going to be just using this effect when your opponent's already shown you 2 perfect guards, especially if they've shown you the Elementary already, because then that means that you're swinging with big power and your opponent is basically forced to guard with a bunch of power, and then even if they put down like an effect front, you're able to shoot it as well. So this doesn't plus, which is one of the big negatives, and the D Legion is also of course a nerf version of the old Legion, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. You're still being able to put back fronts, which are very efficient in this deck because both the Legion mate and the leader will get the power. You're able to put back crits, of course, which are, you know, the best trigger in the game, next to the OT, I guess, or after the OT. And then you also have the ability to put back perfect guards, blitz orders, all that kind of stuff. So most of the time that you're going to Legion, you're basically going to be Legioning back like, let's say 2 fronts, a perfect guard, and a Dusha to Legion with, right? And I think because of the fact that you can't Legion until your opponent is grade 3, you're able to actually build this deck maybe with focusing more on grade 2s and just play the grade 2 game, because it's still quite a few decks in this format outside of Stride decks that care about your opponent being grade 3. But Sagara doesn't actually get her extra drive or the ability to multi-attack until the opponent's grade 3. So you can grade 2 game them a little bit and then basically just like push them with your turn 2 plays and just like stay on Kaiser, and then next turn just ride up normally, you know. You don't have to discard for Kaiser's effect, and just discard to ride normally. And then you immediately Legion up. Now you've had more time to build up a drop of triggers that you want to put back as well. And that way you immediately also get the draw from Dusha too. So don't forget, and very important, that Dusha is being reprinted in this set. And because he's on the Vanguard circle, when you attack with him while Legioned with Daikaiser, you'll also get the CB1 draw 1 5k to everything as well. You also get the restand, but keep in mind, because you lose the Persona Ride icon when you Legion, you are unable to get the +1 drive back. So the second Dusha swing will always never have a drive check. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. The other supports are not necessarily like the best. This Sayaka, the operator, I think she's really good in premium. When you guard with her, she chooses a D-Robo that's different name from her, from your soul, and guards with it. So you can use this in Dieliner, where Daisaurus goes to soul, you guard with this, then put the Daisaurus into the Guardian Circle, and it's like a 30k shield. So for that, I think that's kind of cool, but not necessarily something that will be played in standard. Her art's really nice though, drawn by Haniwa. Kairu Deluxe also drew this amazing die spray. The art is amazing, but this one's basically when it's called by the die base, you energy charge 1. I don't think we're going to be struggling for energy that much because we have die base in the first place. And don't forget, like, you'd be paying 2 energy from die base to call this to gain an energy, so it doesn't really feel that worth it when you're paying energy in the first place. You might as well just call something else, right? Nonoka, I think, is a pretty interesting one, where she is Soul Boss 1 to rest herself if you have a D-Robo grade 3 or greater Vanguard, to choose a different name normal unit from herself that is a D-Robo and put it to bot deck, and then if you did, you choose a D-Robo and give it 5k for the turn. So that's pretty good because, of course, you know, for the restand, that 5k is going to stick. And then it's also good because, like, if you put this in a Dusha focused build, you can return your persona rides that you ditched early. So running it as a 1-of is nice because you can then immediately just die base it out and call it out and then just use it behind the Vanguard or something. Of course, in Daikaiser, it's also good because you can re-ride over the Daikaiser and then Soul Blast out the Dusha and then Legion it back immediately. Like, for example, if you only run 2 copies and you damage one of them, then you immediately get to recycle it. So for that reason, I feel like there might be a world where we play just one of her for that Soul Blast cost. I think the second best card out of the supporting ones is the Daikaiser. This guy is a 15k attacker and 10k shield as long as you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with D-Robo in its name and a base in your order zone. But that basically means that he's a 20k just out of Dusha buffing him and another 10k shield in a deck full of 10k shields already. But he also lets you top 5 for a D-Robo grade 3 or greater or set order, which means that you're not paying CB or soul or energy for this, which is like basically free deck thinning, and then you just put a card from hand to soul or discard it, right? So if you discard it and you have a small drop zone, then you're able to, you know, immediately Legion stuff back. And then obviously if you put the soul, then you can call it out of soul with die base, which is also pretty good. So I think he'd be like, if you're trying to lean towards grade 2 gaming, this guy would be pretty good because he doesn't care about your Vanguard's grade for the first effect. So you can deck thin on turn 2. So you can search out your set order with Die Lady, and then you can call this and search out yourself like a Shadow Kaiser. And speak of the devil, Shadow Kaiser is first and foremost a 10k shield at all times. You can ditch him from hand or rearguard circle at the start of the guard step that your Dimensional Orbital Vanguard was attacked. So it doesn't care what grade your Dimensional Orbital Vanguard is. You send him to drop and then give 10k to the unit that's being attacked. So this happens before you call Guardians, this happens before you intercept, but it's really good because he's like a constant 10k shield. So it also means that if you're grade 2 gaming, you have another 10k shield you can just ditch early. And then in drop, as long as your Vanguard is Daikaiser, very important, and you didn't ride this turn, you Soul Boss 1 and bind him to search your deck for Daikaiser and ride it. So sadly, this doesn't work when you're on Dusha. I do wish it did, because then you could run Dusha in the ride line and then immediately like use a Dusha turn and then be able to use Shadow Kaiser in order to like go into Daikaiser the next turn. But even then, it's still pretty good because it basically means that every turn you're able to Soul Blast out, like you can essentially just like Soul Blast out a spare Dusha or something, or the Daikaiser you rode over and then rewrite again. So this also means that you can run less copies of Daikaiser in a Daikaiser themed deck, because then you don't have to care about the, you know, like drawing into the extra copies. You just have to draw into this guy. And the other best part is that he's basically, he gets plus 5k if your Vanguard to Daikaiser, but then if you have 3 or more bases in your order zone, he gets plus 10k on both players' turns. So that means that he's 23 or 28 after Dusha's buff. So again, that makes 43k columns with a 10k booster, which is really good. Like the fact that you can do that on turn 3 on your opponent's grade 3 is really, really good. So Shadow Kaiser is one of the highlights for me for sure. And so I came up with a couple builds. This was the build I cooked up yesterday. This guy is Daikaiser, and this is the Nonoka. And then this, of course, is like Shadow Kaiser and Daikaiser, just using the original cards as proxies. So this build I made with, this is Daikaiser ride line, so Kaiser, Kaiser Greater, and Core Kaiser. I explained this on Twitter as well, but basically the idea is that Freezing Wave is crazy in this deck, and you're able to Legion it back, so we still want to run that. But essentially, you're going to be going into Daikaiser, and then even if your opponent's grade 2, you can just kind of pressure them with the EB3 to take the attack. Next turn, you Legion up, and you're able to make 43k columns with Shadow Kaiser together with the Kaiser, or if you got your Kaiser sniped, you can call out the Die Trucker. Glory Maker sounds like she wouldn't work with Daikaiser because he says he can't be boosted for his guard restrict effect, but that just means that for the first swing, you can use Daikaiser's effect, and then for the second one, you can boost with Glory Maker and apply the Battle Door effect, or vice versa, right? So you'll always have guard restrict on both attacks, and she'll come out for free even when you Legion, so that's also really good. That also means you can like ditch her for an effect, and then immediately she like calls herself out too. Only 2 Die Ladies because we're able to search her out on turn 1 and with the die base at first, and then just reuse the 1 copy every single turn in order to, or like reuse the 1 copy to search for the second copy of the second die base, and then just reuse those 2 copies basically the whole time to make sure all 4 of your die bases are out of the deck. And that's like all the CB you're basically doing. You're just CBing for that and for Dusha, and that's basically it. Die Battles is still really good because he gives a crit 2 to your Daikaiser Vanguard as well. So for that reason, I think it's still worth to have 2. I was running 1 Die Mariner just for matchups. Like lately, the trend for Buff Sagara has been running Defensing Roar to like intercept with Yugma Shot and bounce it back to hand and use it next turn. So that way you shut down that play. But there's definitely quite a few cards that I'm not too sure of. Like this is the new Operator Girl that I'm also just like, yeah, she's good to Soul Boss 1 in main phase, but that's about it. And then Die Mariner was also kind of sus. Die Trucker's kind of sus. And so then this morning I woke up and made a new build, and I was like, well, what if we play the deck focused on grade grade 2 game instead. And so we bump the counts of the grade 2, so more die ladies and more of the die reckon, because he's a free CB-less deck thin. And in this deck, we want to hit our Shadow Kaiser a bit faster because that allows us to have it for guard value. And because we're potentially grade 2 gaming with this, I also felt that we should run Twin Cast instead, just because Twin Cast allows you to also use it early. Whereas this build is running Ladder, which gives 5k to all of your Vanguards, so both Daikaiser and Dusha will get the plus 5k. But so then this build is basically more about just like grinding out grade 2 game, forcing your opponent to ride up, like tanking their turn, and then after that you ride into the Daikaiser, Legion up, and then swing with your 4 attacks with big power and, you know, drawing cards from Dusha. But then this is also with the Daikaiser ride line. The other thought I had was, what if you run the Dusha ride line? So just imagine there's Dusha ride line up here. If you're running the Dusha ride line, you have to run the core Kaiser. This is a proxy for core Kaiser in the main deck, and then you just search that out from the die base. But then your die base is very busy because Dusha ride line means that die base has to find your die Mariner and your die battles immediately, and then only after that you can start searching for other pieces. So you have to make sure you don't damage the one piece of core Kaiser. And then that also means you could either persona ride the Dusha, or you can then ride into Daikaiser in turn 4 and then basically Legion into the Daikaiser. And so for that reason, because we have to hard draw Daikaiser in this deck, I do think Die Reckon is very important because it finds grade 3s. But also, what's really important is Baldereed, because Baldereed will help us dig for, you know, grade 2 or graders. So that means we're finding Daikaiser, we're also finding our unique skill. I haven't talked about it too much, but of course, the ace unit for Brancade is insane. 25k attacker. I guess it's only 20k attacker because you don't really rest your order zone unit too much. Or I guess like if you, for some reason, didn't, you can rest it for the extra 5k instead. But EB3 to top 5 and add something to hand is pretty insane. So that helps you find your pieces. I feel like Die Wing is always good in a deck that runs Die Battles, because Die Battles is best when he goes back to Soul. So being able to call that out of Die Wing is better than calling it out of Die Base in my opinion. But I feel like the ratios are really tight in this list. So for that reason, it's like I'd like to run more of Die Reckon. I'd like to run more of Shadow Kaiser in this list. So I think it'll kind of depend on the format. Like the Dusha ride line's really good because you can then blind go second and just ride up, draw a card, like get some good attacks, some good deck thinning, and then your turn 4 can kind of go either way. Either you Persona Ride or you go into Legion. Persona Ride means you can still get your drive and use the Goyusha from your ride deck, and then you can still search the core Kaiser that turn if you want to, or then you can Legion in and then basically have the pressure. But I feel like Legioning might be better later. So there's a world where you play less of Daikaiser, and then maybe like a 3/3 count with Shadow Kaiser instead, or bump an extra like copy of the Die Reckon. So I think it'll really depend on the format. Like if you have a lot of things, if there's like a stride deck format or a format with like decks that really pop off when your opponent's on grade 3 like Buff Sagara does, then you probably want to maybe play the Daikaiser build at grade 2 games. But then if it's like a going first meta where a bunch of decks just want to Persona Ride ASAP, then you might want to play something like the Dusha build. So I think that's like there's a lot of different ideas going around. But I think it's really cool. Like one of the greatest things about this is that there's so much discourse happening about the deck. Like the fact that Legion is coming back in the first place is also very exciting. But there's like so much discussion about builds, and there's like barely any generics in this build in the first place, which makes this really, really cool. It feels like Standard's card pool and like the design of the decks has become more and more interesting. So there's still 4 weeks left until this comes out, so I'll continue to keep cooking and talking to other D-Robo mains to see what comes up. But I do like the idea that we can kind of build a deck based on the format, whether it's going to be Dusha ride line, Daikaiser ride line, and I think that's going to be very, very exciting. So I'm honestly very happy with Daikaiser as a whole. I think the fact there's not as much plussing is a little bit annoying, but the fact that die base pluses so much I think is pretty acceptable. And the fact that even if you run regular Daikaiser, even without grade 2 gaming, you just ride up immediately and swing an EB3, your opponent's going to take that attack most of the time because they don't want to worry about their Guardian getting retired, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of cooking to be done. I'm honestly really, really happy. I'll be lining up first thing in the morning on the release day to pick up my secret copies, or at least one copy of the secret Daikaiser, and then hopefully they go down over time because Minerva's in the same set, and I'm sure she will be the main actual like focal point of the collectors. So Minerva mains, please keep my Daikaisers cheap. Thank you very much. But I'll keep cooking. If you want to see more of my cooking, you can follow me on Twitter as well as my Twitch. Links in the description as always, and join my Discord if you want to be part of the discussion. And even for those of you that don't care about Daikaiser, what legions are you excited to come back in Standard, right? D-Legion got announced. That basically means that they can bring back any legions you want. So let me know in the comments which legions you would like to see come up next. With that, that's gonna be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.